Forget the history books, kids. This is what really happened to the Germans. The film kicks off in Norway, deep within the forest of Where the Heck Are We? A terrified girl sprints for dear life, presumably away from her mom's never-ending advice on her love life. Eventually, she stops, gasping for air, and dares a glance back. Danger averted, or so she thinks. Out of nowhere, a zombie pops up like a surprise math test, and now she's running from a trio of undead party crashers. Sadly, she trips and breaks her leg, because that's just how horror movies roll, right? It's zombie time. Switching gears, we join a group of friends cruising in 2 cars, ready to soak up a bit of vacay vibes. The dudes chat about a recent incident where some guy was found dead in the snow, which is nearly the title of the movie. Morbid much? They laugh it off though, probably because they're still young and they think they're invincible. They're en route to a cozy cabin in the frosty mountains. Vegard's girlfriend who owns the cabin is off skiing solo like a total boss. The guys are obviously worried about her, but they've got their fingers crossed she'll glide back safely later that night. Meanwhile, the ladies do what they do best. Talk about boys. Classic. Fast forward, and the guys hit a snag where the cars are about as useful as a smartphone in a zombie apocalypse. Oh wait. Vegard hops on a snowmobile, ready to set up the cabin like a holiday ninja. The rest of the friends prepare for an Arctic hike. Before they head out, movie buff Erland points out that they're practically living a horror movie cliché. His friends roll their eyes so hard they almost see their brains, and they set off. Vegard gets to the cabin first, takes a sentimental look around, then heads inside to get that fireplace roaring. Half an hour later, the rest of the gang shows up, and they waste no time diving into snowball warfare. Exhausted from their frigid frolicking, they retreat indoors to engage in a fierce battle of Twister. As for Martin and Hannah, they're playing a game that's equal parts romantic and terrifying. Martin blindfolds Hannah, then smothers her with a pillow. Hannah, being claustrophobic, panics like she's trapped in a room full of her exes. The others jump in, telling Martin to chill, and he's left feeling redder than Rudolph's nose. In the next scene, a blonde gal named Liv makes her way to the cabin's teeny tiny toilet to, do her thing. So there they were, chilling in the mountains, when Liv senses some major creep vibes outside. Like a total protagonist, she goes to investigate and spots a creature that's got strange written all over it. Freaking out, she darts back inside and spills the beans to Roy. Roy, who's clearly got nerves of steel, decides to take a peek himself. But nada, zilch. Nothing there. Just when they think they can breathe a sigh of relief, a mysterious hiker waltzes in with the subtlety of a wrecking ball. He's like, guys, I hate to be a buzzkill, but this place has a bad rap. Over a cup of coffee, he schools them on the mountain's dark past. You see, back in World War II, a gang of German baddies led by a dude named Herzog made life there pretty miserable. They tortured the locals, stole their stuff, and then tried to peace out when they realized they were toast. But the townsfolk were like, nah, not today, buddy, and put up a fight. The surviving Germans, including Mr. Not-So-Cuddly Herzog, ended up running for the hills, where they were presumed dead from the sheer cold. But wait, it gets spookier. Rumor has it ghostly hauntings are now the norm around these parts. The hiker dude urges the young group to pack up and leave, but they're like, come on, ghost stories are so last century. So he thanks them for the coffee and hits the road. Later that night, Vegard has a freaky nightmare about his girl, Sarah, bleeding out in the snow. He wakes up with a start, convinced it was just a dream. Or was it? Meanwhile, our mysterious hiker is chilling in his tent when he hears a noise. Grabbing his rifle and lantern, he goes to check it out. Big mistake. A blur whizzes past and slices his throat faster than you can say boo. He tries to crawl back to his tent, but the killer follows and turns him into a human buffet. After the nightmare fuel, Vegard tells his friends he's gonna go find Sarah. The rest of them just keep on frolicking in the snow, blissfully unaware of the horror lurking nearby. Vegard stumbles upon the now dead wanderer and freaks out, zooms away on his snowmobile. Back at the cabin, Martin's feeling queasy as Hannah accidentally cuts herself prepping dinner. His pals laugh at his irony. The dude wants to be a doctor, but can't stomach the sight of spaghetti juice. While hunting for more brewskis, Erland uncovers a wooden box filled with World War II treasures. Martin's like, hold up, let's wait for Vegard and Sarah before we dive into this loot. Little do they know, there's more to worry about than just splitting the spoils. Vegard, hot on the trail of his girlfriend's footprints, calls out her name. A patch of deceptively innocent snow betrays him, and he slips, falling into a cave and knocking himself out cold. Literally. Meanwhile, his oblivious friends partied up, playing with riches like they just won the lottery. Erland takes a bathroom break, and as he's answering nature's call, a gold coin slips out of his pocket, probably trying to escape the smell. In a shocking twist of events, Chris walks in on him and starts kissing him. The two are so caught up in each other that they fail to notice a mysterious creature lurking outside. The creature, spurting an ugly, pale hand like it hasn't seen sunlight in years, relatable, snatches up the dropped coin. In a world where Bitcoin exists, who knew gold coins were still a thing? Erland heads back to the cabin, leaving Chris in the bathroom. His friends interrogate him about his lengthy absence, but he just shrugs it off and cracks open a cold one. Chris, still in the bathroom, spots a terrifying face through the cracks in the wooden boards. A monster starts to circle her before grabbing her from under the toilet. Now a mix of gross and terrified, she screams for help, but her friends are too busy jamming out to some tunes to hear her. Hannah, suddenly struck with spidey sense, kills the music and decides to check on Chris. Alas, it's too late. Chris is snatched away by the monster. Hannah calls out for her, but the only response she gets is a cold, eerie silence. The men, now on high alert, grab a rifle and head out to search for Chris. They don't find her, but they do stumble upon Vhagar's girlfriend's backpack, abandoned in the snow. The crew returns to the cabin, trying to piece together the mysterious events. Hannah catches a glimpse of the missing girl's face outside the window, only to realize her head is detached from her body. Yikes, talk about a bad hair day. Liv goes to investigate, but a zombie grabs her hair through the window. Hannah, now a part-time hairdresser, saves Liv by giving her an impromptu haircut. With adrenaline pumping, they barricade the cabin, using the couch as a makeshift door. Peering outside, they spot zombies shambling around like they're at a senior citizen disco. Panic ensues as the group attempts to fend off the zombie invasion. Martin channels his inner John Wick and shoots one through a smashed window, while Hannah goes full-on chef mode and slices off a zombie's hand with a knife. She holds up the hand like it's a prized catch, shouting that they need to make a run for it. But before they can hit the road, another zombie tries to crash the party. As the group barricades the door, Erland gets a bit too chummy with 3 zombies who decide to yank him out of the window for a fresh air date. His friends try to help, but another zombie crashes the party and gives Erland a killer headache. Literally. Rip in peace, Erland. We hardly knew ya. The next day, Vhagar awakens like a champ and surfaces from his slumber. With only 4 amigos left, they cook up an escape plan. Hannah's all like, let's split up, Scooby-Doo style. 2 of us take the car, the others wait for Vhagar and hoof it out of there. Martin points out that the car's basically a zombie dinner bell, but that just means the walkers won't notice the others sneaking away on foot. Genius. The ladies book it down the mountain for backup, while Martin and Roy stay behind to play zombie bait. Meanwhile, Vhagar's all Indiana Jones, exploring a cave with a homemade torch. He stumbles upon some World War II memorabilia. Spooky. Then he hears a noise, but when he turns around, nada. At one point, he even finds his ex-girlfriend's head. Talk about a bad breakup. Vhagar's epiphany moment. The cave is a missing German-turned-zombie hangout. Before he can say yikes, a zombie tackles him, and they both tumble out of the cave. A high-stakes game of zombie versus human ensues, with Vhagar barely hanging on by a rotting thread. He eventually uses the zombie's own intestines as a makeshift rope, which is both resourceful and disgusting. Meanwhile, the 2 gal pals are sprinting through the forest like it's an extreme workout. They get a little turned around, so they pick up the classic horror movie move. Split up. At first, Liv's like, no way, Jose. But Hannah gives her a reality check, in the form of a slap. They regain their composure. A zombie pops up, and off they run in opposite directions. What could go wrong, right? So Hannah's playing hide and seek with the zombie, right? She finds this tree and bam, smacks the zombie in the face like it's an undead piñata. She follows up with a round of kung fu kicks that would make Bruce Lee proud. But poor Blondie gets knocked out, and wakes up to a zombie treating her intestines like spaghetti. She thinks, well, ain't that just my luck, and decides to go out with a bang. Literally. She pulls a grenade and explodes, taking the zombie with her. Now the explosion is basically like an undead party invitation, and zombie Captain Herzog RSVPs with his whole squad. Hannah, who's playing Tarzan now, hides in a tree where a bird decides to host a rave. The zombies, not wanting to miss out, try to climb the tree. Hannah nopes out of there, performs an Olympic-worthy jump, and takes down a zombie with a branch. Talk about branch management. But now she's cornered on a cliff like a dramatic movie climax, which is exactly what this is. She decides to break the ice, literally. How many literallys are we gonna do? And plummets down onto a snow cushion. Meanwhile, Martin and Roy are trapped in a cabin, and Roy comes up with a brilliant plan. Let's burn the zombies with a Molotov cocktail. But clumsy Roy tosses it out a wall, turning the cabin into a barbecue. And Herzog's like, I smell humans. Martin tries to call the cops, but they're like, zombies? Yeah, right, bye. So they discover some gear in the bathroom. Guess someone was prepared for a zombie apocalypse. Vhagar, meanwhile, turns into Rambo, strapping a machine gun to a snowmobile, and zooms off to rescue his buddies. Hannah wakes up, sees a zombie, and channels her inner Mortal Kombat to perform a flawless victory. Roy and Martin go all DIY, weaponizing tools to fight the zombie squad. Vhagar swoops in, guns blazing, but gets taken out by the next wave of zombies. Martin, in a fit of rage, accidentally kills Hannah. Oof. The undead keep coming, and Martin starts shooting like it's a game of Call of Duty Zombie Edition. He gets bitten, and instead of a doctor, he goes full on Bear Grylls, amputating and cauterizing his own arm. A surprise zombie bites him between the legs, and I bet you he's really rethinking his life choices now. Herzog shows up, and it's Zombie Palooza. As they flee, Herzog takes out Roy and swipes his gold watch. Martin has a light bulb moment, and realizes the zombies just want their bling back. He bolts to the charred cabin, finds the treasure, and gives it to Herzog. Zombies and their materialism, am I right? The undead crew bounces, and Martin rushes to his car, hoping to drive off into the sunset. But a single gold coin falls from his pocket, and Herzog is all, you got my money? Martin's face is pure terror as Herzog comes for that final coin, smashing the window like it's a deck collection gone wrong. Moral of the story? Call of Duty Zombies.